to deal with Pakistan. So I think we're at a standstill. And that's why I think that India has to find a way other than a military response to deal with this. But I think it may require a role, the bringing in other countries. And this is where India should take the lead. It shouldn't be an American operation, but India should make sure the Americans, the Chinese, the Saudis, a lot of countries interested in South Asian stability play a role in this and work out an agreement, not in Kashmir so much, but on stopping terrorism. And it's, unfortunately, you know, I don't think we've ever had a Pakistani government the way we have now, where the senior leadership does not like this. They do not want to see terrorism. Zardari and Sharif Rahman and all the others, they're vehemently opposed to these kinds of groups. The danger is that they don't have control over their own state. And that's a problem for India as well as for America. But above all, it's a problem for Pakistanis. So I think you have to find ways of offering both inducements and punishments. What's an inducement you can give to the Pakistanis? Trade, cultural exchanges, you unleash your chess champion. Again, I gather he's boycotting Pakistan. Cricket, now that's going to hurt. You know, it seems silly, but actually Pakistanis love the cricket engagement. But a military confrontation runs a risk. Frankly, if I were an Indian, I'd be thinking of military action. The trouble with bombing the camps is that there's nobody there. You'd just be bombing a bunch of empty tents, because the training takes place in other places in Pakistan. So you might feel good, and I've always felt that feeling good is one benefit of good foreign policy, but it won't actually accomplish anything. So it's a long-term dilemma for the Obama people. They're going to have to confront this on day one. In fact, this could be, you could see a major crisis brewing up by the time he's elected. The book I finished and published earlier this year looks at 4 major India-Pakistan crises, and this is beginning to look like some of them. I won't go into the details, but reports of air violations, threats of nuclear attack on both sides. It's beginning to look kind of scary, and the Obama people may in fact be faced with a crisis.
I think there are so many questions on this hot pursuit. I think let's not take one more on it. So I'm kind of giving it out. I think let's look the relationship in all its aspects. So I think I have a question here, Vijay, which is about scientific economic thing. Maybe you would like to.
Yeah. This gentleman hasn't written his name. In post-Bush era, what could be the implications on economic and scientific cooperation between USA and India in the context of recent economic and IT meltdown?
You're taking me out of my area of expertise. So I'm a little nervous walking on thin ice. Not much ice in Chennai, but if there was, it would be on thin ice. Although Chennai, actually, historically, Chennai used to receive ice from America. When the British came here, ships would sail from New England in the wintertime carrying ice to Chennai and to Calcutta. So you probably did have American ice here, but I won't skate on any thin ice. I think that what's frightening is that none of the experts are right. And the columnists all confess that they were wrong. Corporate presidents, leaders realize that they were doing the wrong thing. You may see a dramatic rearrangement of the American economy. How India would fit in that, I'm not quite sure, but I think that India would not be seen as a hostile partner, be seen as a friendly partner. So I don't see there's no longer any predisposition to sort of blame India for anything. So, but we'll see how it works out. What I will say, this I'm more confident, that there's now an India lobby in America. Not so much the Indian American community, and a lot of you are Indian Americans, I know that, but also the American corporations that have big investments here. Microsoft, Boeing, some of the software companies, manufacturing companies, and they see the relationship as important and as durable, enduring, and they see this as part of their overall business plan. So I think it's like when you cut yourself and the wound begins to heal. Well, in a sense, we're being stitched up by the corporations. You know, what was a gaping wound in American-Indian relations is now being closed in part by personal contacts, the Indian-American community in particular, but also by these big American corporations who are operating in both countries. So.
Next question is, how do you believe Hillary Clinton would shape or reshape American foreign policy?
She probably doesn't know herself. I mean, she's going to have to be Obama's Secretary of State. That's going to be a very uncomfortable position for her because she will bring with her people who've been advising her and working with her for a long time. And it'll be interesting to see where and how they differ on foreign policy. It's no secret, but every American government since time immemorial has had a difference of opinion between the President, the Secretary of State, and other officials. So you'll see differences emerge between her approach and his approach. On India, I don't think there's any, I don't know of any difference at all. On Afghanistan, there might be. You could imagine some Americans are arguing, let's negotiate with the moderate Taliban. And I've heard this in Washington frequently. Well, let's find the moderate Taliban and negotiate with them. To me, that's just a total misreading of the reality. But you might get pressure in Washington to start negotiations with the Taliban, if you could find a moderate Taliban. So I think that I don't foresee any critical issue where they would be divided over their South Asia policy. Maybe on Pakistan, conceivably. You might have some people in Washington arguing for a tougher policy on Pakistan. Our military would not want that because they're dependent on Pakistan for resupply. On the other hand, Pakistan are looking the other way when it comes to the Taliban operation in Afghanistan. So it's a very, very divisive issue in America. So Pakistan rather than India has become the focal point of our South Asia policy. But an India-Pakistan crisis could, in a sense, bring pressure to bear on India. I think that's clear that like the Bush administration, they would send a Secretary of State here, maybe a Secretary of Defense, to try and ask the Indians to cool it. And India would, of course, extract a price for that. You would say that if you want us to be moderate towards Pakistan, not go hot pursuit, we want something from you. What you should get, in fact, is more American pressure on Pakistan to reform itself. And speaking honestly, I'm not sure whether the American effort with China, with the Saudis, the countries that count in Pakistan, even with Indian support, whether that will make a difference in Pakistan. A lot of Pakistanis are worried about that they might have reached the point of no return in terms of being a coherent, stable country. I think that's the most frightening prospect of all. And of course, that's your big neighbor, or your next to big neighbor, and I think that should affect the Indians should be very worried about that as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am really overwhelmed with the questions, more than 100. I am not even getting time to read it, let alone summarize. So
just take about 4 or 5.
My apologies if I can't do justice to all. It's just difficult. I am just trying to pick the important, interesting questions. I
think one learning is, I think we should keep a slightly bigger portion for question answers in our future sessions. Well, this is going to be very provocative, this particular question. Shri Rajiv Srinivasan, IIT Madras 78 says, I quote, "You had said that India should liberate itself from Kashmir. Given your past tenderness for Pakistan in your books and your general strategic non-proliferation disdain for India, I take it that you mean that India should just give Kashmir to Pakistan."
Well, yeah, if you want to destroy Pakistan, give it to Pakistan. I mean, Pakistanis, it would be, Kashmiris themselves, at least Kashmiris I know, no longer want to be part of Pakistan. Not that they want to be part of India. There's division among Kashmiris, especially in the valley. But they never wanted to join a military dictatorship. That was one of the ironies of Pakistan's claim on Kashmir. But the Pakistani position is not that Kashmir should join Pakistan, but that the Kashmiris never got the opportunity to have a plebiscite, the famous plebiscite, where they could make a decision. Now, if they had to make a decision, I think many Kashmiris would vote for independence. That's the one thing that's unacceptable to India and to Pakistan, because an independent